Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at one of the latest and quite possibly greatest button locks of 2022. It's a Mojave Outdoor Exclusive, and this one here is none other than the Kizer Original. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, with this being a Mojave Outdoor Exclusive, I gotta let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Mojave Outdoors. Look them up for all of your Kizer knife needs and use this code right here, Wayne's World, for 10% off this knife and any other knife you find on Mojave Outdoor. And you definitely, if you want this knife, you gotta go to Mojave Outdoor because they're the only ones carrying it. And I tell you what, they have a leg up on the competition with this because it is a pretty darn sweet button lock, and I have some very good reasons to tell you why. And just so you know, currently not in stock right now. I'm sure a lot of you probably know that. But in this review, I'm going to be telling you the next time you can get these. Next time they're dropping, not just this color, but 2 other colors. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up real soon. But now let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife. We have an overall length of 6.85 inches, a blade length at 2.98 inches, and a blade width of 841 thousandths, with a blade thickness coming in at 110 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is 154 cm with a drop point style blade, a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 3.87 inches, and a handle thickness of 462 thousandths, with a handle width coming in at 867 thousandths, right about here on the handle. Now we have some very different handle material on this guy. This is not your typical G10 or micarta or carbon fiber. This is matte oxidized aluminum. So quite different change up than what you normally see on Kizers. And we have a very, very popular knife to compare this handle material to here in just a second. We have, as you know, that button lock locking mechanism with a user of a right hand only tip-up carry, a weight coming in at 2.61 ounces, so nice and light, and a price of $84. But of course, you're going to use the code Wayne's World and save 10%. So that's going to knock $8.40 off of that $84. So again, pretty darn good deal. Better take advantage of it. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons on this guy here to see just what size of a knife we're working with. And we got some pretty popular ones to compare here. First, let's do some non-button lock knives. We will go with the Civivi Elementum, and we'll also go with the CJRB Rhea. 2 excellent knives in this size range. And as you guys can see, little smaller than the Elementum, and just a hair. Well, actually, it's pretty much the exact same length as the Rhea. So I think those 2 right there put everything into perspective quite well. The ergos are actually also worth noting on the Elementum because you have the choil area on the Elementum, as well as this area up here, which obviously I don't really consider much of a choil like you do have on the Elementum, but up here you have, it's kind of just a nice little close-up to the actual blade. So the ergos are actually somewhat similar, nice rounded edges, more similar than you might think. So that's a good thing because the Elementum has fantastic ergos. Now let's take a look at some other button locks. Let's go with this one right here. Of course, everyone knows it, the ProTech Malibu. And then also probably the most comparable button lock and its biggest competitor, the Civivi Altus. Now, you guys know I've been raving about the Civivi Altus ever since it came out because it's a damn good knife. How does it stack up with the original? Well, you know what? There's going to be a battle of the blades to figure that out. So we'll touch on all that later. But as you can see, in terms of size, it's pretty close. A little more handle length. The blades are almost exactly the same in terms of length. Maybe just a hair more of a sharpened edge on the Altus. Not the end of the world or big of a difference there. As you can see, the Malibu is bigger, but there's a real important comparison to make between the Malibu and the original. And we'll touch on that when we get to the handle and ergos portion of this review. And we'll be bringing the Altus back here in a little while too to compare that as well. But now let's get into this blade. And let's have a brief little talk about this blade because it's, there's not a whole lot of things that really make it stand out, but it's very solid and it's very, very good. You have that nice, clean, simple drop point, which, you obviously see a lot of drop points, but in my opinion, that's what I want to see. I want to see more drop points than anything because that's my number one preferred blade shape. So always happy to see that, and always happy to see an almost full flat grind on a relatively thin stock coming down to an edge of 17 thousandths. So yes, nice and slicey blade, gonna work just fine for you on all those EDC tasks. And the thumb studs on this guy, I'd like to call them perfect thumb studs, but they're really nothing special. I think what really makes the difference is just the placement of the thumb studs here, and then also kind of the radius in which they are and with the pivot. Kind of hard to explain. I may have just sounded like an idiot saying that. But when you go to deploy this blade, it works slightly different from the Altus. I'm not going to say it's better, but it's different. It's just the placement of it is just, it's a very, very effortless deployment. And a lot of that is due to the placement of those thumb studs. And of course, you know, you have some nice texturing, perfect width. I hate when a smaller knife has smaller thumb studs. In my opinion, these thumb studs should be like standard because they're the perfect size, perfect texture. You know, I don't know, unless you're talking a real custom production knife should have standard thumb studs, because I don't think it gets any better than these. And this is not the only knife that uses that. I'm sure there's plenty, you know, Civivi and Kizer and QSP. I'm sure they all use thumb studs very similar to this, but man, these are just really, really good, and I do like them a lot. Now, when you get up to the top of the spine here, you're not going to see any jimping. That is because they put the knife name there. So, you know, you guys know me. I'm always calling out jimping because I like jimping. This doesn't have it, and it is what it is. I don't so much mind the knife name being up there. I think it's a little odd that they have the color on after that. Kind of just a little unnecessary printing on the blade, I guess. You could just avoid that and just go original, because we know, you know, original is the model name, so I guess that makes a little more sense. But to have the color seems to be a little bit of overkill for me. I do like how they mark the front of this blade, though. You got the actual knife number there, as well as, and this was I believe the first run of these was 200, so I believe this is 71 of 200. And then you have the Kizer and Mojave collaboration, which I think is cool. Kind of helps separate it and lets you know that this is the, you know, the Mojave exclusive. So that's kind of cool. And of course, the blade steel marking on the other side is always nice to see. Other than that, you have a very nice clean blade with no Kizer logo there. Not that I dislike the Kizer logo, but I don't mind it not being there. Not at all. I like the more the cleaner, less branding on the blade. I'm a big fan of that. So really, really like that. And outside of that, it is the coated blade, but I will say the really nice thing about this model is there's going to be a non-coated option. So at the end of the review, I'll let you guys know when you can pick these up, and all three versions will be available. So I will let you know that at the end of this review. But that's about it for the blade. Very nice blade. Outside of the lack of jimping, I have nothing to pick on it. It's very, very solid and a very, very nice 3-inch EDC blade. Very, very good job done there. Now going into handle and ergos. The ergos on these are surprisingly good. Every time I see this right here on a handle, it's going to make or break the knife, because it's either going to make the ergos really good or it's going to make them kind of awkward. And luckily, due to the shape after this, you know, it comes down into this nice little rounded area here. You have two really comfy handle positions. You have this right here, which kind of reminds me a little more of the Civivi Altus, because the Altus has no type of choil, so you're a little farther back from the blade in general. And that really does kind of remind me, with just a little less handle to grab on at the bottom with your pinky. The Altus kind of gives you that full grip. But this gives you a very nice feeling in hand there, and then you choke up, and this is where I'm going to be using the knife right here. You get nice and close to that blade, giving you ultimate control over the edge and what you're going to do with the knife. Feels very, very good. What makes this feel even better outside of the actual hand position are the sides here. Now, this is a flat scales, no contouring, but the edges are so smooth, and they're not just chamfered. I mean, they're completely rounded. So very, very comfortable in hand. No points, no hot spots, no nothing. And this matte oxidized aluminum is very nice. And it feels basically identical, and as you can see, it looks identical to the ProTech Malibu, so it gives it a nice premium feel. Obviously, this Kizer is not made in America, but in terms of feel, they are maybe not identical, but they're about as close as they can be without being identical. They feel great in hand, gives you a nice amount of grip that isn't like really grippy, but this knife is the farthest thing from slippery too, in my opinion. The only question with the aluminum is going to be how well it holds up over time. Aluminum will usually scratch a little easier than other materials, which isn't ideal. But we'll see. Maybe this one won't. I'm expecting there to be some snail trails on it though, and that's just the nature of the beast with aluminum. I think everybody kind of knows that by now. Going into the pocket clip here, you have a perfect pocket clip, fully recessed, not too long, a nice kind of a 2/3 length clip that I'm a big fan of. The only thing I'm not really a fan of, and you guys know I'm going to say it, the graphic here on the clip. I like the clean clip, and especially this knife, because it's such a clean, sterile look for the most part. It's just black on black. This really stands out, and I don't know what this is for, the original. I don't know if maybe that's like, I think it just looks like a G within a G, so I don't know. If it is possibly the designer's logo, no disrespect to whoever designed this, because it's a phenomenal design. I would just prefer to not see this here. I'd rather see this on the clip side of the blade. Maybe put it like up here. So I don't know, somewhere other than the clip. I've never really been a fan of clip markings. But other than that, it's an excellent clip. It works great. It carries fantastic in the pocket. So no issues there whatsoever. All in all, very, very happy with this handle. And the biggest difference, what really sets this apart from the Civivi Altus, I'm going to say it in the Battle of Blades, but I'm also going to say it here, the stick of the button. Now, I've gone on record to say before, and I'm going to stick by it, I don't mind a little lock stick on button locks. It just doesn't bother me because it's easy to just push through, and no issue for me. With liner locks and frame locks, some lock stick can be a little more annoying, can be a little harder to close the blade. But as you can hear with the Altus, there's just a little stick. Again, I have no issue with this. I'm not complaining, I'm just showing you. Got a little stick. Now, this, the original, pretty much none. If you listen real hard, maybe you can hear just a tiny minute, but for all intents and purposes, there's none. You don't feel it. You certainly don't feel it. That's the biggest difference here, is the lack of button stick. Very, very, very good job done there. The first button lock knife I've come across this year to have pretty much no lock stick. That's freaking awesome. Now let's go into the action. And as you guys saw me flicking this thing, it is butter. Absolute butter. Just as fidgety as the Altus, even though I kind of gummed that one up there. This right here is how I like to deploy this knife. It is so addictive, so fidgety. Just have it pinched up with your thumb and index finger here. You got your thumb right by the button. Kind of got the butt of the knife in your handle there, in your palm. And just kick it out, close it. And you can do this for, I mean, maybe not hours or days, because that'd be a lot, but minutes, and really pass the time while you're thinking. Excellent, excellent fidget knife. And your thumb is just as good. There's no issues with the action of this knife, in my opinion. When it comes to detent, now I will say the detent on the original compared to the detent on the Altus, the detent is a little heavier on the Altus, but this is the thing with button lock knives. In my opinion, you want just enough of a detent that you have to break to help kick the blade out. You don't want a real super heavy detent. Now, there's no issue with the detent on the Altus, but it is noticeably heavier. Even though it's heavier, and I love the Altus, I have no issue with the detent on the original. As you can see, it's very easy to just little drop of the wrist, the blade falls in, no issue. I like it. They're different. I like them both. And it goes to show that different detents can both work on button lives. Button lives, what am I saying? There's not, two things can be just as good as the other, I guess, the best what I'm trying to say. No issue with the detent of this knife. I personally really like it. The detent is plenty strong enough to hold the blade in. Don't have to worry about the blade shaking out. but you can sure kick it out with your thumb very, very easily. Just a very fidget-friendly knife with an excellent action, excellent button placement. This might be, so far, the best button lock of 2022. I'm not going to say that for sure yet because I know there's more coming out. Civivi's got one coming out that I'm very excited to get my hands on. But, man, I tell you what, if you like those smaller knives, the 3-inch or shorter knives, this may be it. I don't know. Battle of the Blades between this and the Altus is going to be hot and heavy because two excellent button lock knives here. And this one here is going to be available Monday the 14th. All 3 colors of this guy are dropping. Monday the 14th. And I don't know exactly what time, so I'm sorry. I did not get an exact time. I don't even think, it all depends on, as long as they come in on time and this and that and the other, there's a lot of other things that factor in as to when they actually go live. But on Monday, March 14th, last time I'm saying it, all 3 colors of these are dropping. You're going to have the all blacked out version, you're going to have the green handle with the black blade, and you're going to have the gunmetal finish handle with the non-coated stonewash blade. So 3 excellent options. I'm sure they're going to go very fast, so be ready to pick those up. I'll say it one more time. Monday, March 14th, guys. That's when these are coming at you on Mojave Outdoors only. And do me a favor, use that code there, Wayne's World. It's the best way that I can thank Mojave Outdoor for supporting this channel in the way they do, is to let them know that my subscribers and my viewers appreciate it too. So save yourself a little money, use that code, pick up one of these knives because they are absolutely fantastic. I'd be very, very hard pressed to not see this knife in contention for Knife of the Year awards in its respective price category at the end of the year. As long as it holds up, as long as nothing crazy happens to it, which I'm not anticipating. I've never had anything really bad happen with a Kizer. This is a good one. Very, very good one. Very fidgety. Just very, very good in general, from aesthetics to quality to action to carry to ergos. It's a hot one, guys. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you plan on picking one up. If you already have one, if you were lucky enough to pick one up in the first drop, let me know what you think of it. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.